Tuesdays, prayer and scriptural thought, and you take Thursdays.
Sounds good. I'm going to move into the other room real quick because my kid's going to go down for a nap. So 1 sec.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was shoving batteries down his shirt.
At least he's not eating them.
He's got this fascination with batteries, and his big thing lately is I'm going to put everything down my shirt.
Like I said, it's better than his mouth, Ammon.
Yeah, right?
If he's tucked in, that's a great way to carry stuff around. He knows where his gear's at.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. He's certainly hitting his 2-year-old streak, though. So.
All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, I'm going to offer a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we come together to work on this class together, and we invite thy spirit to be with us. Please open our mind to the subtleties of this case, the possibilities that are available so that we can expand our understanding of business and of what's required in this class. We say these things humbly to thee and ask thee in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
So a general conference was amazing for me this year. It's interesting because some years, or some general conferences, it's good, it's great, but then there's some that just really change my life. Mm-hmm. And so the church has been going towards this thing where you go into general conference with a question, right?
Right.
And so I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before, but I have Asperger's syndrome. I'm an autistic. And one of the ways that autism displays in me is that I'm not sensitive to a lot of social behaviors. Meaning when my girlfriend asks me if these pants make her look fat, my response is yes. Whereas someone else might say, well, I've seen things that I like you in more. Anyway, right. So when I pray, I am always constantly.
Hey guys.
Hey Danny.
Hey Danny, welcome. We're just having our
I had to use my phone because my laptop's not working.
Oh, okay. This gets it done for sure. Anyway, so I pray a lot about having empathy and sensitivity and understanding. Anyway, one of the talks was talking about, I don't know if you saw Saturday General Conference, but they were talking about, it's not about really what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah.
And you remember that talk?
I do.
Oh, I love that talk. He was talking about the Relief Society who was controlling and difficult. And we all had to laugh at that because we've all had that Relief Society president. Anyway, I just really appreciated that when we communicate with people, everything we say to them should tell the truth and uplift them at the same time. And because of my autism, I always tell the truth. I actually have to coordinate a lie. I mean, I can't, it's just, I don't have the executive functioning skills for it. And so I find that I alienate a lot of people because I just tell the truth. And so I really appreciated that feedback, that how, you tell the truth, but do it in a way that actually makes them feel good about themselves. And I thought that is just, you can use that in every aspect of our lives.
It's very true.
Yes. All right. So number 3, choose a student to read the following aloud as the group follows along.
I got it. So far in this course, we have seen a few common threads and takeaways. Founders matter. Experience, passion, and vision shape the business and can make the difference between success and failure. Business plan at the founding stage of the company is a collection of hypotheses. In other words, guesses. Startups create value by systematically testing hypotheses and making changes to the plan when the test results indicate a need to change. Early tests tell us a lot about the viability of a business and where more information is needed. Previous cases analyze business models the founders had already chosen. Now we see a company at the moment of choice. And then number 4 is, which business model option do you favor? A, traditional strategy, B, razor and razor blades, or C, data analytics?
Razor to razor blade.
Okay.
I like that one more. Yeah.
You know what? Of the three of them, that's the one I would go with.
Just up to a certain point, though.
Yeah, I waffled between two of them, but that was the one I finally settled on.
But I think that they ought to do a hybrid. I think that because the core value of the company is about changing how medicine is delivered to patients, I feel that they should do the razor and razor blades.
Yeah, Mom, I'm busy though. Sorry.
So specifically, I think that they ought to create one database where all the competitors contribute to. So that way there's just one subscription, meaning if your company Ammon and your company Danny and mine all contribute to that, that makes it a dynamite resource for everyone who's subscribing to it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, as far as profitability goes, if Ammon, provides 50% and Danny and I do 25%, then Ammon gets 50% of the profit.
Right.
And I also think that each competitor
Dilution
would have.
Is that?
Pardon?
What was that, Danny?
What was she saying? That I get 25% and you get 25 and she gets 50, right?
So
depending on how much.
Depending on who contributes how much information on any given quarter per se. So, but the idea behind that is I think that they should be both. I don't think it should just be one or the other. I think that because Razor doing this provides so much information that the data analytics obviously has to go with it.
Yeah, and those are the two I really was torn between because of what the founder, his mission is. I mean, his goal is to help fix healthcare across a broad spectrum and make it more efficient. If that's his case, then the traditional strategy doesn't really apply. It's a great way to help a few people, but a lot of people are still left out. And razor blades helps democratize the technology across the spectrum.
Yep.
What we need is the data analytics. That's what's going to actually change the healthcare market, is if they have all this genome information spread across multiple providers doing multiple different research options, that then it helps target things like cancer research. The more people you have putting money into it and having the information to do the studies correctly, the better chance you have of finding a cure.
Yeah. My other, what kind of competitive?
I thought that they needed to find adjacent areas. I can't say the word agency areas or something. So like new customer segments, like new products, like new channels, and they sort of did that. And I would go with the razor to razor to that certain point, because I wouldn't want to raise all that capital to get to the next stage, to where you needed to get to wait that 6 years to get that investment, that return back, with the data. So I didn't really like the data. I thought it was going too far, and it felt too complicated for me in the end.
And the nice thing about the razor to razor blades is that is ongoing income.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you just sell the model, and then
And the Excel spreadsheet made it come together, come alive, with the numbers and everything. So that's just why I chose it.
Where did you see an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
The cash flow implications, the definitions. There was a link to click it, and you could just mess around with the 10 boxes and stuff.
All right, hang on a second. I need to see the boxes. Hang on, let me go to week 4. Tell me where you saw. Can you see my screen?
Because I know there was videos that Brother Crawford was showing, and I just went off
in the prep assignment.
Yeah, I think so. I did that one. So when we go through, I gotta. So have you guys been doing good on the post discussion? I've been getting Fs on those for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, part of that is after you put in your grade, then it comes out as an F because they have to grade it later.
Oh, okay. So like the
They
Hangout
all come
link,
out as
I just post it right to you to the
Yeah.
board.
And then you
Okay.
say when the summary begins. But I get an F on every one of them too, and then the TA comes back through and grades it later, and you get assigned a different grade that updates the grade.
Okay, so
yeah, like much.
all right, I'll just make sure to add the link. Can you send the link?
Yeah, I'll
Make sure
send
to
the
send
link
the link.
again for
Okay.
today.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
But yeah, and it's not a close later. It's a week and a half later.
That they grade it.
At least, yeah, there's the grading's pretty slow on stuff.
They're 2 weeks out right now, which is one of the concerns we have because our assignment for this week is a
Rent the Runway essay that we still haven't had graded.
Yeah, so
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Yeah, we usually do it after this, but we're not meeting on Thursday, Danny, because of it. We don't have a meeting.
Okay.
At least I don't think we do. I haven't really gone into it much, but
okay. I haven't looked at it, but I don't think so.
Thanks for putting those out. I just went in yesterday and pulled the case study, and I didn't really look at anything, and I haven't gone back in there yet. Okay, so number 5. I think that we just covered all that, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what about the data on the data analytics? You know, when we talk about that, could that impact us as far as can competitors see what kind of business we're doing based on how much we're getting paid because of how much our contribution is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we giving away information? I mean, it's almost like we would be telling the our competitor, you know, for this particular product that we provide, you know, this is what kind of business we're doing. I mean, would that make them want to go into that business?
So like a low market share, high market growth type of thing?
Yeah, so
right, because I know they fall in one of those categories, the company. Just like, because there's 3 options, and I kind of sort of, you know, justified each one of those into like their own category. But my document closed and like my computer's on the ferrets, so I don't have it. But,
well, I think what we're looking at, Danny, right now is if we're adjudicating revenue based on data analytics, analytics based on your contribution of data, how much data you bring in and what kind of data it is, then if you and I are in competition and you're doing way better than I am, so you get paid 60% of the revenue for that quarter, I get to see, okay, how come he got 60% of the revenue? What is he doing? Like, what is his business model? And then I could adjust my business model to copy yours. And there's a danger there in sharing strategy with one another and sharing strategies. And then I might adjust my strategy to get a leg up on you based on what I see that you're doing this quarter. Is that what you're talking about, Kristen?
Just more macro or something. Okay, more micro.
Is that what you were talking about, Kristen?
Yeah, so like in these cases, it's not more so much like the macro analytics that we're dealing with, or are we dealing with both macro and micro? You know, internal and external.
It depends analysis. On the case.
On the case?
Yeah, case by case basis.
I've just been bouncing off of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so these next questions here are a little confusing to me. So using a polling tool that allows students to vote and see the overall results, go through the following questions. Using the Excel model you created before class, answer the following questions individually and compare answers as a group. If we increase the EBIAT sales and hold everything else equal, time to paycheck
either increases, decreases, or remains the same.
I want to say decreases. I didn't really hear, but I'm going to say stays the same. Or what was the question?
I'm wondering if remains the same wouldn't be it, because if we increase sales and everything else is held equal, I'm not sure that changes the time frame as far as, you know, if we go from 1 to 5, I'm not sure if delivery isn't impacted. if there would be any change. Emma, what do you think?
I think it's probably going to remain the same, as best as I can tell. I think this is coming. These answers are coming off of that Excel spreadsheet, and I didn't have a lot of time to really play around with that as much as I should have. It looks like.
Okay, since everyone has responded to the question without help from anyone else, compare answers. Discuss until the group settles on a single response. If NOA and sales increase, cash flow increases. What does NOA mean?
Non-operating assets. So, but further into depth, I didn't get to it. I had to look for it.
My understanding of non-operating assets is that would be like your data, for your data analytics. It's not machines, it's not the microchips, but it's still an asset. It's still asset. It's just not operating.
Okay, so I would say increases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Danny?
What was that?
So what is your vote?
What is the cash?
I said stay the same.
On this one here, on the second one?
Can you read it?
If NOA and sales increases, cash flow will increase, decrease, or remain the same?
It'll increase.
Yeah. Okay, so we're all agreed on that. Once everyone's responded, okay. On the curve below, which segment rests?
I don't have a curve.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, me neither.
The curve never shows up.
I wasn't sure if it was the browser or what.
Everyone has responded to the question, compare answers. Okay. Discuss as a group what strategies we have seen that flatten or lengthen the cash flow curve. Specifically, try to talk Dr. John's products. Cash flow curves.
Which one was going to give us negative returns? The third option, or
so
the data analytic strategy.
This is a hard one for us to answer because it requires us to go back, explain ourselves.
Yeah.
With the case, so I'm going to skip that one. If they decide to build an independent company rather than get acquired, what activities would John have to do differently?
If they decided not to try to get acquired in your Dr. John's, then they have to expand by I think it flattens out their cash flow curve because they have to start researching new products. Like Dr. John's is making their
hold on, Mom, wait.
Dr. John's is making their go of it based on just that low-cost toothbrush, but can they continue making a profit on that if they stay independent, or do they have to bring new products to the table, in which case they have to spend more money on R&D, which flattens out and shallows out their cash flow curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to be they're going to buy too much to operate, and then, like you're saying, they're just going to go over budget, right?
They'd have to expand with a lot of R&D, new products. Whereas when you look at Rent the Runway, they're expanding into something that already pretty much exists.
Exists and already is a tried. There's not a whole. There's not the R&D of it isn't there necessarily. It's adding another part of your business, but you're not creating a new website.
It just solves the problem though for people wanting to dress elegant but that can't afford it. So they didn't really know a lot about the industry, and that's what helped them make that.
Well, okay, so on the Rent the Runway, anything that they do to expand is going to raise their income, or is going to raise sales for them. And Dr. John's would actually drop it because of the R&D and the production required, right?
Right.
Yes.
So Dropbox also doesn't really produce like Dr. John's does, and actually Rent the Runway doesn't produce anything either.
Yeah, wasn't Dropbox the one that captured the small market share their first quarter, or was that another case?
That was Dr. John's.
That was Dr. John's. Okay.
Yeah, Dropbox is the one that
was the
all of their
online right?
Yeah.
Dropbox and Rent the Runway both provide services, but they're not manufacturing products, so it doesn't flatten out their
curve.
Their curve. It increases it. The more people participate, the more sales they make, the more money they make. Whereas if you're in the manufacturing sector, then the more products you make, the more your costs increase. So yeah, your sales increase, but so do your costs. And so I would guess, based on what they had, it's going to negatively impact their sales and increase the time to pay back for Dr. John's
versus the other two.
It helps them.
Yep, they're gonna sell a lot though, right? Like, because they're selling really cheap products, so they're gonna sell more. But like,
well, the problem that they run in is they've got to come up with a product that will sell. Whereas, you know, so they're creating something from scratch here per se, but Rent the Runway, they're just going to add handbags, let's say. And if it doesn't work out, they just sell the handbags. They don't have to, you know, buy equipment for it. It's just storage.
And the other thing with Dr. John's is every new product they have to come out is going to have direct competitors from other major toothbrush makers that are far bigger than Dr. John's. And so they have to pick products that carve a niche out, and it's just more difficult. It's far more difficult for Dr.
class right now
to try to build this independent company than for these other ones to stay and just expand their business.
Exactly. All right, I think we've covered A, B, and C. Let's go right into D. What decisions did Drew Houston make in Dropbox that favorably impacted the cash flow curve? Excuse me.
The business model inherently impacted it because he added something to it. It's the syncing capabilities as well as the backup capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so by increasing the service that they provided from just saving to also including syncing, it automatically favorably impacted the cash flow curve because it added something. It cost a little bit more, but for them to create it, but it added another model that was incredibly useful for other companies and for users.
To the user, yeah. So they created value for the user. Which then, but the other thing is that because they have a freemium, they're on a freemium thing. It only created value for those who were paying. You know, and so it was my understanding, if I remember correctly, it was only for the premium customers, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, now let's look at the choice Genapsys has from a cash flow standpoint. For each business model option, consider and compare the following. Okay, so let's go. What pages are those on? I think we start on page 11, 13. We start on page 14, 15.
I'm busy, Mom.
Okay, I think we go to page 18 for revenues, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's their main. All right, so the net present value. If some of the options have similar net present values, which is riskier? Is it advisable to take additional risk for similar net present value? Are those the only numbers we've got? Let's see. Comparisons. The dollar share of the market.
I can't even hear.
I'm looking for the net present values right now. Is that something that came with the...
I don't think that came in with us, but I'm looking at...
I think that might come in the that spreadsheet.
That's like an Excel function.
Do you remember that being in there, Danny, when you looked at it?
Net present value?
Yeah.
I didn't see it in here.
I'm looking right now.
All right, so if we looked at our options, so our options is to do the...
Oh, here it is. Yeah. It's there. It's
what page?
The third tab. It's in the Excel
Third tab,
spreadsheet.
financing implications. Third tab of that Excel file. So what's the question again?
Hang on a second. Let me just bring that up. Take me just a second to launch here. Hang on a second.
Sure. Yeah. So the traditional model and the what's that?
Which
Here's
one
the
is
question
this?
right
Is
here.
4? She's on 5? 4.
I'm on number.
I go for razor and razor blades if we're voting.
Yeah, I'm
No,
trying
not
to
on
get
that
into
one.
this. Get in this.
It's on number 5, but it's quite a ways down. It's 5E is what problem we're looking at.
Okay. Okay.
Goals?
Okay. Do you have it up, Kristen?
I do. Can you see it?
Yeah, so I have it up
Can
as
you see my
well.
call? I don't know why I can't see it here.
Yeah.
Click on number 3 and scroll up to the top. It's what I had to do. I had to click on it and scroll up. I don't know if it's the same on yours.
Okay. So here, can you
So
see
when I
mine
look at it-
right
Yeah,
Yes.
I see that.
now? Okay.
So the traditional strategy and the razor and razor blade strategy have similar net present values. Data analytics net present value is a good deal higher. So the question here is, if some of the options have similar NPVs, which is riskier? So which of the traditional model or the razor and razor blades is a riskier option to take? And then is it advisable to take an additional risk for a similar NPV? I would say that the razor and razor blades model is riskier because you're trying to democratize the market and you're not positive if those smaller
Takes longer
users.
to
What's that?
I just like the fact that it's a new market, you know, that they're trying to fix their business plan. They're trying to tailor it to suit what's going on right now within the industry. And I mean,
Right,
like
but it is a
the
riskier
reagents,
business
they're really
model.
popular. So they're going to do the razor to razor. They're going to sell cheap products. They're going to sell high test cartridges, and then they're going to market to new people. And so they're going to get a good market size.
But because they're marketing to new people, Danny, it is a riskier business option.
Yeah, but they're trying to step away from the norm, like in the VC industry, how it needed to be shaken up. Like these companies are selling products that are like close to $1 million, and they're trying to sell them for like $5,000 to $10,000 to like $7,000. So that's they'll probably
They
hit
sell
a
the
good
stuff for 100,000. That's a little bit of a difference.
I'm sure.
So here's the actual net present values right here. I mean, when I'm looking at this would somehow suggest that purchasing or just selling these would actually have a higher, that the data strategy would have the highest money. But I don't, this can't be right. I mean,
I guess they're saying the traditional is better because
well,
they're gonna
it looks
come
like,
back sooner, like in 2016. So
but the writing specifically said that they make more money on the cartridges.
So
they make more money on the cartridges than they actually do the machine. So, which suggests to me here that there's something wrong with these numbers.
Well,
I think maybe yeah, I'm gonna go with that. That makes sense.
The difference is that with the traditional strategy, you're selling machines for more money than your cartridges. Even though you have better returns, you have a better profitability on the cartridges, but that's where you're reliant on people buying a lot of them.
Because they're taking up a bunch of space, like in the hospitals, and they're too bulky right now. And the $900 hand portable, that's a new market. That's a new customer.
Be quiet, bud.
But that's taken years as well too. So
go back
I think just
this.
technology needs to keep up with what people want to do.
So how will Genapsys raise funds to support each option? Is any option clearly more attractive to investors?
Yeah,
They
the
talked about
data.
dilution a lot, about having like VCs join the board and stuff, and how you're actually like short on time when you have to meet certain like marks and goals and deadlines. I don't know. Angel investment's pretty good because they just give you the money and they don't really tell you anything, but it's way less. So I don't know. It just depends on what route you want to go. There's always crowdfunding, bootstrapping. So I'm not sure really. Then I'm undecisive.
Are we going to need to submit this? Do you guys think that this is what we need to submit?
What do you mean in submit? In like the case study?
Yeah.
Yeah, individually. That's what my impression was from the video.
Okay. I need to look at this again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rework my paper a little bit more.
Yeah. All right. So how are they going to raise funds to support each option? Is any option?
Either way, they're gonna have to go into venture capital.
Well, I think they're already there.
Interested client
I mean,
investors.
that's where they're there, and they're gonna have to try to find more funding. In either way, as far as in which options, which one's more attractive to investors, it's data analytics because it's so much more profitable than all the other ones, apparently.
Well, from what we're seeing, yeah. But that's the net present value.
There's a lot of infrastructure that's needed to be built around the framework, and that's just a lot of money. Like they talked about in the last case, that it'd take a different company to take the what was it, that product to where he wanted it to go. So I think did they mention that in this case too, that he wanted it to go somewhere, but that it wouldn't go there with him?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think the problem, there's more money, obviously, over here. We're seeing more money here, but we've got a huge hit. So we're looking at approximately 70,000. It's this here. Is it what are these numbers here? Assume that you've found. Is it? No, it's not 70,000. But is it units? What is this? Do we know what this is? What these units are here?
Wasn't that the money that they took back from the time they get positive?
Yeah.
Well, is it $20,000 or is it 20 million?
So they took out X amount of money.
It doesn't say if it's in million. It's in millions.
It is millions. Okay.
Probably.
All right. So yeah, well, data strategy. Unfortunately, we don't realize that data strategy for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean the traditional model has them bouncing back in 3 years. They make up their money. The razor and razor blades, they don't get it back till 2022 approximately. And same with data strategy, 2022 they get it. But the upside,
isn't there already a lot of competitors in the traditional? Because
it is, but it doesn't.
That's why
matter.
They wanted to go to option B. It doesn't matter.
Well, they're considering option B, but they're offering a completely different product. It's smaller, it's more efficient, and it's cheaper. So they can carve out a spot in the traditional model regardless. The data strategy has a higher top end side where they're going to be making more money at the end of this than any other model. But as far as your financiers, your investors, they might like the traditional better because in 3 years they're starting to see a return on their product rather than waiting 10 years for it.
The other thing I think that we also need to look at is that this product does a very niche market.
Yes.
And so I think that when you look at the data, you're hitting a larger group of of potential customers than you are. So more people will want the data than those who will actually use the machine. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is why it is, I think that they need to do both. I like the razor and razor blade, but also the other thing that we didn't really think about is on the razor and razor blade one, others could come in and create their own test cartridges, like, aftermarket ones, knockoff,
and steal that market share.
And steal that market share because they'll do it cheaper, faster, better, whatever. I'm surprised by these numbers over here. The traditional, because even with the traditional and the razor blade, you would still think this number would be even higher.
Right.
It's more than half.
Okay, I think we lost Danny. He said his phone died.
Okay. But it's still more than half. I didn't even see. Now I have to think, because I chose traditional when I did my pre-poll.
Uh-huh.
I chose traditional, but when I sat down to actually write my submission, I thought, you know what? When I was putting my numbers together, that's why I went with the razor and razor blade. But the data strategy is the one that really surprises me. But of course, it could go out with other groups. All right, let's see what the next one is here. For each option, how much of the company will the founders have to give up to reach the goal? Well, with every amount of money that they get, they lose part of their company. So the more money they have to raise, the more of the company they lose.
The most money they have to give up is with data strategy, because they go 80 million, they go almost $70 million in debt at one point.
Yep.
So they have to give up more of their company to go data strategy. They give up the smallest amount of company with traditional, but it's pretty close with razor and razor blade. A couple million. It looks like it's $1 million. They go into $1 million more debt for razor and blade as compared to traditional. But data strategy, they go heavily in debt. But from their low point on debt, they recover that in 3 years.
They do recover it, but they've still lost a lot of their company for it, which why is that they can't start with either traditional or razor and razor blade and then build in the data as and they reinvest, reinvest the profit.
There has to be a way that they could, because, if you have to go $70 million into debt, you have to wonder if they're even going to have 50% of a majority market share to control the company at that point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone else will just own the majority of it and say, no, we're not doing this anymore.
All right. So we have to be ready to explain our choice in post-discussion write-up, which says right here. So the question is,
okay,
which model do we choose?
We going for the data or the traditional? I like the razor, but
I know.
Well, we get back in 3 years traditional, and it's risky with the new customer market. So.
All right. What if we did the traditional, because it's got a much better cash flow to it, and then actually added in the database, built it slower
later
without investment, and just reinvested profits? Is that even? Can we even write that?
I'd do that.
I would do it. I don't know how. I'm not sure. If you're just selling the equipment, I'm not sure that those institutions are going to share the data with you. So it could be difficult to build the data analytics. Part of the reason the data was working is because you're selling your stuff at lower cost in return for them giving you information.
Well, and the other thing is that if we went with data, would we even need to build the other stuff?
Yeah, fair question.
What do you do with the technology you've already raised?
It is so complicated. So collectively, are we leaning more toward like just traditional, or are we leaning toward like traditional and data?
No, we're discussing that.
I like traditional and data as a hybrid. Traditional, I think, is the way to go. But I think that putting the data in, because it's almost like we have to do the data because it matches with their
Yeah, we want to know, like the other entrepreneur.
it's who they are.
I think I want to go with your idea, the hybrid,
Okay.
because it's a risk, but there's more with the data. So I'll go with that one.
All right. So it looks like we're going to actually have to put that in our post-discussion write-up. All right. So at this point, are we ready to summarize?
We are.
Yep.
Okay. So let's come back up here. She's a student. False. Okay. All right. So let's summarize this. So we decided to go with the traditional strategy based on the Excel spreadsheets that we saw in the cash flow curve, with a kind of in a hybrid with the data also. But we would like to see about building the data a little bit slower side of the business, and then use the profits from the traditional model to build the data to minimize how much of the company we're actually going to lose. What else do we have? We covered all of this. Okay, so does that summarize everything?
Yeah.
What else do we need to add into the summary? Because this is a lot.
Just that.
I think there's 3 people here, right? Today.
Yeah, we have Danny Carmona,
Oh, yeah.
Kristen Wiederhold, and Ammon Howard.
Yeah.
Did Laura
dropped the class.
The course?
Yeah. She just texted in a little bit ago. Okay, so we discussed the strategies here. We decided that Dr. Johns would have more of a financial hit because of the R&D that would be involved. Rent the Runway and Dropbox wouldn't have as much of a hit because they're already doing the industry stuff. They're just expanding what they're already doing, and which they already have controls in place for. We covered B, C, D. So for the net present value, I think we decided the blade and blades was more riskier because of the cash flow, how it moved, and how will Genapsys raise funds for each option. We thought that it'd be more attractive to investors would be the data. However, there was a huge investment requirement for it. And one of the advantages of going with the traditional is that it's just very clean and makes money right away, though not as much as the data would. Okay, so we decided that we would go with a hybrid of traditional with building the data, reinvesting our profits. Good. Anything else that we should add?
Nope, I think that's everything.
You know, this was a hard one.
It is.
But it was so much more helpful to have all that data entry information provided.
Yeah.
I mean, I really see through this one how important it is having that. All right, let's wrap it. Let's close it down. Yeah.
Okay.